guys, it's Jo here from Type T Designs, and today's video is the edited version of last night's Facebook and YouTube live. So this is a little bit quicker in case you didn't have time to watch the full replay. I started off by creating a backdrop for my card base, and I've used here the Geometric Snowflakes cover die. And I've also used the nesting frames die as well to cut out pieces using some cream cardstock. And we'll pop these together to make our panel for the card base a little bit later. But next I wanted to focus on some ink blending, and I'm using the brand new Saltwater Taffy Distress Oxide ink, which I was so excited to use. And I've teamed that up with the Tattered Rose and Aged Mahogany. I think this is a great combination. It works so well together. And I was so excited to use these three together. As soon as I saw that new ink, this was what I wanted to play with. I've done this directly onto my card base, which it's an A2 sized card base. And I'm going to add a little bit of extra interest using the Type T Designs Fizzy Flamingo Shimmer Spray. And instead of spraying that directly onto the card panel, I've actually popped a few little drops of that onto an acrylic block, and then I've used a fan brush to splatter that onto the surface. We're next going to stamp up our little images, and I'm using the Jumping for Joy stamp set. This is such a cute set. It's got some really cute little characters. You can see here that I've actually stamped out 4 of those images, but we will only use 3 of those today. So I am going to just show the colouring for the 3 images that we use, but if you do want to watch the extended video, I will show you how I coloured up that little mouse as well. I'm using the E70 to 74 shades of Copic markers for my colouring, because I think these are a really nice grey brown shade. Works really well with our colour scheme. And you can see here that I've started with that lighter shade, the E70, all over the body and faces of my little squirrels. And then I go in with the mid-tone, which is the E71, and I'm using that to create most of the colour of my squirrel. And then it's only the E74 that I use to create shadow. So I'm adding that just at the very edges of the body and the face and behind the bodies. But I'm also using that to create some flicks of fur along that bushy tail. I'm then going to blend that out with the mid-tone again, so smooth out any of those edges that the shadows have created, and then finally over with the lightest shade of E70 to smooth all of that out. The only thing that I don't smooth out are those elements that I've used to create some texture on the tail. For the stomachs and the faces, I've used the E00, and then I've just used the E01 to add a little bit of shadow and some little highlights to the cheeks. My hedgehog is in shades of brown, and I've also used the E00 and the E01 for the face. And then I'm using E23, E25 and E27. I'm going to cut these out with my coordinating dies. So you can see here I did cut all 4, but we will only use the 3. So this is our panel that we cut out earlier, and you can see that I've cut this down to size to fit my A2 size card base, because it's actually, the panel is actually A6 in size. So it's a little bit large for my card base. And this is where those frames really come in, because they will neaten up the edges and make that a perfect fit. I've stacked that up on some foam tape, and then I've cut out the sentiment, love you lots. And you saw there, I'd actually cut that out of some fun foam. That's going to be create my dimension for my sentiment. And then I've cut another one out of some plain white cardstock, and I'm going to use some embossing powder to create a bespoke colour, because I couldn't find one that I liked in my cardstock stash. So I've covered it with some embossing ink. You saw me just pushing the sentiment into the ink, and then I've covered the surface with some Wow embossing powder, and I've used 2 colours. One of them, let me just check the colour of that. It is the primary cardinal red, and also some gold digger gold embossing powder from Thirsty Brush. And I'm just making sure that all of the surface is covered. There's a little gap there where I've been holding it with my tweezers. Set that with my heat gun, and it's made the most beautiful effect and shimmery colour that I was really really quite surprised at how well it came out, because it was a pure experiment. So I've added that to the fun foam, and that's going to give us our dimension. And then I've popped that little hedgehog just peeking out of the O there in U, because I thought that looked really really sweet. And I've positioned my squirrels where I want them to be, and the top squirrel has a little the die cuts out around his paws, so that means he can hold something in his little paws. So I've taken a scrap of cardstock, done some more heat blending of those powders that we used for the sentiment, and I'm going to cut out this little speech bubble with a heart that comes in the mum and dad sentiments stamp and coordinating die sets. Cut that out just using the die, and then the little heart that comes out of the center fits perfectly in that little squirrel's paws. So cute. But I also wanted to use the little speech bubble as an extra embellishment, so I cut another one from some of that cream cardstock that we used for our border, and then I've added some foam tape to the back, and then we've got a little love heart speech bubble coming out of the top there. I've added my foam tape, and then some just some liquid glue where it was already going to be raised by the overlap with the sentiment, attached to those two little critters. And our cards are almost complete. The finishing touches were just to add some highlights with my white Jelly Roll pen, which I absolutely love to do, and I do on pretty much every card. Add some black glaze to the eyes and the nose, and that's our card complete. How great does that sentiment look? I was so pleased with it. The only thing that I did after filming was to add some gold sequins, which I just think did finish off the card in the end. I really hope that you liked today's project and that you enjoyed some of the techniques that we used. I'll be back again with another live on Tuesday at 12 p.m. That's British summertime. So I hope to see you all then. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you again soon. Bye bye now.